Hello everyone, this is Pooka and welcome to another Pokemon TCG video. Today we're going to look at the deck that took third place at the Pokemon TCG US National Championship in the Masters Division, an Yveltal Garbodor deck. Now this deck was piloted by a player named Isaiah Williams, who had a very close series against the eventual winner Brandon Salazar in the top four, but this is one of the strongest decks in the format, probably the one that had the most hype surrounding it, probably was going to be the most popular at the tournament, and it's no surprise to see it have a top four finish, so we'll take a look at the deck right now. Most people probably know what this does, but we'll take a better look at the list in depth to just kind of get a feel for why it did so well. So the centerpiece of the deck, of course, is Yveltal EX, 170 HP basic Pokemon. Has that darkness type, which allows us to use all sorts of tools to help it out. We'll get to those in a minute, but the attack we're going to focus on is Evil Ball, 20 plus 20 more damage, times the amount of energy attached to both active Pokemon. Just a ridiculous attack. So that's going to be the attack you use the most. Then we also have Y Cyclone, does 90, and then you get to move an energy to your benched Pokemon. So just an overall very solid card. You're going to see this pretty much everywhere. If you go to a tournament, you have to expect to run into this card. So that's number one in this deck. And then the sidekick, so to speak, is this Garbodor. Has Garbotoxin. When Garbodor has a Pokemon tool attached to it, each Pokemon in play has no abilities. So it just shuts down everything with an ability, which shuts down a lot of popular decks. I mean, think of pretty much every deck. They either use Garbodor or they use abilities. That's pretty much the case. So we're going to take away all those abilities since we don't really have any we need to use. And with Yveltal EX being very aggressive and strong, Garbodor shutting off abilities, we can really cover a lot of bases. So you have this 2-2 Garbodor line. That's just an incredible sidekick, since it can also just sit on the bench and use that Garbotoxin. Alright, so we do have four other attackers we can look at here. The one most commonly seen is going to be this Darkrai EX. Of course, it has Dark Cloak, which gives any of your Pokemon with Darkness Energy attached no retreat cost. So before Garbodor comes out, before we use that Garbotoxin to take away all abilities, we can use Dark Cloak to get some nice mobility, kind of move around, or get retreating for free. But then we also have this Night Spear attack, which we've seen for the past 2 or 3 years now. Does 90 and 30 to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. It's just a solid attack. 180 HP Pokemon. Has a different weakness than Yveltal EX. Also resists Psychic. So just a very solid card in general. Another card we commonly see is Sableye. We're mainly going to use it for Junk Hunt just to recover those 2 item cards. And we'll get to look at these item cards in a little bit. There are a ton of good ones. 1 Absol from Mind Jack. Does 20 plus 20 for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon, so that can add up very, very quickly. Just a nice non-EX attacker. And then 1 regular Yveltal as well for that Oblivion Wing attack. It's a nice 130 HP Pokemon that can be very difficult to knock out sometimes. But Oblivion Wing does 30 and then gets a Darkness Energy from the discard pile, attaches it to one of our benched Pokemon. It's a very nice Pokemon to put up there as kind of a wall sometimes to do some additional damage. And we get some energy in play as well. Now, one of the more unique things about this deck is going to be the Jirachi EX. At first glance, you look at this and say, this makes no sense! You're running Garbodor! You take away abilities! Why would you run a Jirachi EX? Well, the answer is, early on in the game, this deck can be quite inconsistent sometimes. A lot of the time, you end up with a hand with just no supporters, but you do happen to have one of your 4 Ultra Ball. So as long as you have an Ultra Ball, you can turn that into a supporter, search for Jirachi EX, and smooth out your opening. So it's a pretty cool start, or a pretty cool card to give you better starts. A lot of times this is better than running an extra supporter, right? Since we have so many ways to search for Jirachi EX, it actually improves our consistency quite a bit. We're only running, let's take a look. We only run 4 Professor Juniper, 4 N, and 2 Colress, which is 10 supporters. But we also have 4 Ultra Ball, and then 1 Jirachi EX. So it's almost like we're running 15 supporters that we can hit in the opening hand, and then also 2 Bicycle for additional draw as well. So Jirachi EX may not seem to make much sense, but it is very good in practice. We also have 1 Lysander. This can also be a very good target for Jirachi EX. At the end of a game, if you happen to be able to use Stellar Guidance still, Lysander is just great to pick off a final Pokemon if need be. And now we'll get into these very powerful item cards that really make the deck work. First one's going to be Dark Patch. Get a basic energy from your discard pile to one of your bench Darkness Pokemon. It's just great for accelerating energy. For Hypnotoxic Laser, this is what makes the deck so strong. Poisoning your opponent's active Pokemon, and then a chance for sleep as well. Combine that with Verbank, City Gym, and that's 3 additional damage counters between turns. That is ridiculous. And then we also have Muscle Band, adding 20 damage to your attacks. So, I mean, just think about it. With Muscle Band, Hypnotoxic Laser, Verbank, City Gym, that's an additional 50 damage to your attacks, and that is just downright silly when you think about it. We also have 3 Float Stone. This is going to be the one that we're putting on Garbodor most of the time. Gives your Pokemon no retreat cost. Garbodor has a 3 retreat cost. Beautiful synergy. It needs a Pokemon tool to use Garbotoxin. There you go. We've already looked at Ultra Ball. Discard 2 cards to search for a Pokemon. We have 4 of those. 1 Professor's Letter to search for 2 basic energy cards. 1 Switch. That's a pretty simple, straightforward card. And then Dowsing Machine is the A-Spec card. Discard 2 cards and then grab a trainer card from the discard pile into your hand. We also run 8 Darkness Energy and 4 Double Colorless Energy to round out the deck. So I would say not a very complicated list for this deck, but there are a couple cool things here, namely the Jirachi EX that may set this apart from a normal Yveltal Garbodor deck, and this is the one that Isaiah Williams used to take 3rd place at the U.S. National Championships. So, of course, we're going to take a look at this deck in action in a game on Pokemon TCG Online and see how this Yveltal Garbodor deck looks when we play it. And yeah, that's about it. Alright, so looks like we're going to be going second in this game, starting off with Sableye and Absol. I'm going to lead off with the Sableye, since we'll be able to Junk Hunt going first. And we'll also bench the Absol, just to get another benched Pokemon down there. And alright, we see right off the bat, a Litleo and a Druddigon. Alright, so we know we're up against the big bad Pyroar. That means we're going to need to get that Garbodor out very quickly. Get that Garbotoxin to shut off Pyroar's intimidating mane. And then after we get that out, we can start attacking and knocking out Pyroar. But this is always going to be a very difficult matchup because, you know, if you run out of Garbodor, you lose. That's pretty much how simple it is. If you run out of Garbodor, you run out of resources, and you basically lose the game because you cannot attack Pyroar anymore. So it's going to be kind of a battle here. Who's going to win out, right? Is the Garbodor going to stay in play, or will the Pyroar take over and, you know, get the catcher or Lysander our Garbodor before, you know, we can take care of all those Pyroar. So we see a Hypnotoxic Laser. This is a very threatening start for my opponent. Muscle Band, Fire Energy. Yikes. Not exactly what I wanted to see here on this first turn. I do draw an Ultra Ball, which is pretty nice. I'll be able to Ultra Ball, probably discarding Chorus and the Darkness Energy. And we can go right for that Trubbish. Just going to check my prizes as well. We see Trubbish number 2 is prize, so this could be very, very bad right off the bat. Wow, yeah, that could be pretty devastating, if you ask me. Now, I did not get anything particularly great. If we would have gotten a Dark Patch, and Evil Ball would have been a knockout right here. But no, we missed one of our 4 Dark Patch, unfortunately. And now, you know, I really don't want Sableye to get knocked out. So I think I'm just going to retreat into Absol and just say, here you go, have him. You know, if you want to attack, go ahead, get rid of him. And then we'll pass for the turn. Oh my goodness, an enhanced hammer right off the bat. That's very, very annoying. It's going to discard that double colorless on the Yveltal EX. So, not a good start so far. Does not look very good at all. We see another hypnotoxic laser, though. So, it looks like my opponent has to burn quite a few resources here right off the bat. We see a switch into the Mewtwo EX and that Professor Juniper. You may notice I held on to my hypnotoxic laser, opting not to play it. That's because doing 10 damage to a Litleo doesn't matter. I'd rather save that laser for when it evolves into Pyroar, since the poison does go away when it evolves. So, Hypnotoxic Laser is a great weapon against Pyroar as the game progresses. So, I would rather just hold on to it. Or we can just play it against this Mewtwo. That works too. Alright, so I'm going to go with the Darkness Energy on the bench, and go figure. We get a Dark Patch now after the Bicycle. Should be able to Dark Patch, but it's going to be almost impossible to get a knockout on this Mewtwo this turn. May as well just power up the Yveltal, though. Probably not going to get a switch, but hey, never mind. There's a switch. And okay, so here it's a little interesting. We can Ultra Ball, discarding the Darkness Energy and something else. Then we can actually switch into Sableye to Junk Hunt. We can Ultra Ball and get Garbodor into play. That's a big deal. And then switch into Sableye, Junk Hunt. My hand isn't very good beyond... well, my hand isn't really that good, period. Don't have any supporters, but at least we have the Garbodor going. And here with this switch, I can switch into the Sableye and Junk Hunt for a couple item cards. I'm going to go with the Dark Patch and Bicycle. Maybe Laser would be better than Dark Patch, but Bicycle is pretty much a given here. Seeing that I don't really have any supporter cards, I need some way to draw some extra cards here and, get the motor running. So Mewtwo does wake up. That means Sableye can be knocked out by an X-Ball here, and that's pretty unfortunate, seeing that, Sableye would be great later on to, Junk Hunt some more Hypnotoxic Lasers, but we have to use them early on here. Kind of unfortunate, but we'll have to deal with it. Alright, so I think we'll probably see, yep, there is the X-Ball for the knockout on Sableye. Poor Sableye. And that Garbodor does have a Float Stone, so we can promote him for that free retreat and go from here. Now, I did draw Lysander for the turn, and I have a little bit of a dilemma, I suppose. Do I Lysander out that Pyroar and take care of it now, or just knock out the Mewtwo? Those are my two options. And I think we're going to go right for that Pyroar. Seems to make the most sense to me. We'll bring him out here, and then we can either Laser, Band, or put an energy on the active. I'm just going to Band the active, and then put an energy on the bench to Yveltal EX, and Evil Ball for 120 damage. And very fortunate, off of my first prize is that Trubbish. So things are looking up right now. We took down that Pyroar that was loaded with energy, got a prize, and now we have a couple of Yveltal EX ready to go. But uh-oh, there is a Lysander from my opponent as well, and another Pyroar. This is going to get very threatening very quickly. Could easily see an X-Ball for the knockout here on this Garbodor. We do see the computer search. Can search for any card, so it's probably going to search for some way to knock out Garbodor. Maybe a Muscle Band or an Energy. Both of those are sufficient to get the knockout here. Let's see, what is it going to be? There it is, the Muscle Band. And that's going to be a knockout on that Garbodor. Energy goes onto Pyroar as well. So this is going to be a very close back and forth game here. Now I will be able to get the knockout on Mewtwo with this Hypnotoxic Laser if need be. We can put down the second Trubbish as well. It's kind of strange though, because if you put it down too soon and it just gets knocked up by Pyroar, well, that's just going to backfire horribly. But you know what? My opponent would need quite a few cards to pull it off. So we're going to go with the Laser onto the Mewtwo with the 2 energy and the Band and the Laser and the Verbank. That adds up to 150 total damage with an Evil Ball. So I'm just going to attach to the other Yveltal EX And do I play an N here? I'm just going to play it because otherwise I won't really have the cards to get another Garbodor into play. So there's the Evil Ball, the Poison, the Verbank, finishing off Mewtwo EX. And now we do have two Yveltal EX with plenty of energy on them. But there's that Pyroar, there's the Double Colorless, and a startling Megaphone. Will we see another Lysander or Catcher? You can see why this is a very difficult matchup. If we saw another Catcher or Lysander onto that Trubbish, that could almost be game over. That could just be knockout Trubbish, and all of a sudden I cannot knock out Pyroar any longer. But nope, nothing of the sort right there. We just see the Scorching Fang for 90 damage. And alright, now we have an interesting situation. So I have that Dowsing Machine. I'm going to have to go for the most inefficient play in the game. Dowsing Machine for Ultra Ball. Ugh. This is downright awful. We have to discard 2 for the Dowsing Machine, discard 2 more for the Ultra Ball, just to get Garbodor in play. And I could have, gotten like a Chorus or something like that, but this is a guaranteed knockout here, and I feel like if I just knock out this Pyroar, I'll be in excellent position to win this game. So I'm going to put the third energy on there, and Evil Ball for 120, taking down that Pyroar, and now we're in great position to win this game, down to 2 prizes. A Dredagon does come out, so a Revenge here could actually be pretty devastating, but there's a startling Megaphone as well. Trying to take a look at how much stuff I've burned through already. It's starting to get out of control, and we do see a level ball for another Litleo. So this game is really far from over at this point. We do see the level ball, but yeah, I mean, it's far from over. I still have to take down, even after this Dredagon, I'll have to take down something else, so I don't know, guys, what's going to happen here. I do have the Dark Patch and a DCE. We can easily knock out this Dredagon with an Evil Ball here if need be. I may have to do that. I'm going to put the DCE onto the active, Dark Patch onto the benched Yveltal EX. So you can see the army is building. We have so much stuff going on right now. I have a Muscle Band. I could use that to Y-Cyclone, move the energy to the benched Yveltal EX, but feels like I may get hit with an N to 1, and if that's the case, I kind of want that Muscle Band to go on Garbodor. And yeah, that's what I'm going to go with. I just want to make sure I have Garbotoxin in full effect. Going to bench that third Yveltal EX, and then Evil Ball for 120 damage, keeping the Bicycle. Just in case of an N, I just want to have more draw cards. There's not a whole lot else I could draw on this turn. So here comes the Mewtwo EX with a Muscle Band. I don't think I needed the Muscle Band, but there's an X-Ball for the knockout. And at this point, I just need to draw. Let's see. There's 3 DCE gone. If I can draw my last Double Colorless and a Hypnotoxic Laser, this should be an easy knockout for that Evil Ball. And we're going to draw a ton of cards. Benching all these Pokemon, Bicycle, Dark Patch actually not working out here. We have to go to a benched Pokemon. So we're going to have to Dark Patch, and I think that'll go on to my benched Yveltal. It seems to make the most sense. So we'll go ahead and do that. And yeah, I have a couple lasers left at DCE. All I have to do is Juniper here. I'm out of Muscle Band, so I'm just going to put the Float Stone on the active just in case. And we should be able to draw everything. Oh, never mind. Okay, so let's take a look. Okay, my 3 remaining cards are Jirachi and 2 Hypnotoxic Laser. So a little bit unfortunate here. That's a little scary now. Things could definitely go wrong at this point. I don't know. That was a big miss there. I'm going to go ahead and Oblivion Wing for 30, just setting up that Mewtwo EX to be knocked out next turn. I do have that Hypnotoxic Laser, so pretty much everything should be knocked out next turn, but there is a Lysander actually going after the Yveltal EX with no energy on it. My opponent's playing, that was a pretty smart move there, just saying, you know what, I just want to bring up something, an EX, that has a heavy retreat cost, doesn't have any energy on it, But we can see in my hand I held on to that DCE just in case something like this may happen. I didn't want to lose to having something stranded active or just holding on to that last energy. And here we go, Hypnotoxic Laser. Gonna put that DCE on the active Yveltal EX Retreat. And Evil Ball for 120. Again, the Poison and the Burbank City Gym finishing off that Mewtwo EX. And you can see we can overcome Pyroar with this deck. It is very close. I mean, Pyroar is basically built to beat this kind of a deck. You know, if they have enough Catcher or Lysander, they can easily take out your Garbodor. But if you play intelligently, eventually you can overcome. And hey, that's why this deck is so strong. It just has the answers to just about everything. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will certainly have some more for you soon. I am Pooka from the Top Cut, and I'll see you guys next time.